And hey everybody, we're live! It is the Addicted to Loot Podcast, episode 64, coming at you in the lovely cold month of December. Which means,
dude, it's like, there's like no snow on the ground right now. I'm so happy. It's been raining for 24 hours. Everything's soaked, but all the snow is gone. I am on like cloud 9 right now.
And I've been seeing articles all today that say, check here to see if you're going to get 2 inches of snow this weekend.
Oh my god.
And no, usually,
I'm just in heaven. It's like early December, and it's a green Christmas. It's great.
Hopefully not. I much prefer the white variety of Christmas.
I've had like 26 white Christmases
in a row. But
yeah, in a row.
There was one green one in there, because when I was up there was at least one green one that I can remember.
Probably.
Sophomore, junior year.
Yeah.
But there was literally one day. Literally, it was day before Christmas, white. Day after Christmas, white. Day of Christmas, green. It was the weirdest freaking thing. That one
me.
Day was green.
I went outside with a hose and just sprayed it.
It was all
the
Tommy.
entire northern New Hampshire.
But everybody...
Didn't take long.
But hey everyone, welcome to Addicted to Loot. We are a upbeat, even keel, easygoing, smooth, finely sanded,
that's a new one.
Gaming podcast, entertainment conglomerate thing, corporation, enterprise, rental car company. But
we're a couple of guys that talk about video games.
What he said. And this is actually our 64th episode, because if you've missed it, last week we actually did our annual live recording of,
which is a thing now. If you do
apparently
something
it is
2 years in a row,
we're going on year 2, so we did it twice. Therefore,
annual.
it's a tradition now, where basically our same faces are in the same room without a logo between us. I mean, literally right there in that couch, right over there,
where Mr.
Piggy Hat
has a Santa hat right now.
It's currently sitting. But it was the two of us and our old high school buddy Alec who joined us to do the No Man's Sky special episode way back when.
Like when we started, yeah.
Yeah. We did a really cool thing. It's actually up on YouTube. You should go check it out. We did a great, awesome game, which I was not expecting, which was basically Overwatch versus fast food commercial or food commercial.
It was Overwatch or restaurant. And,
yeah.
For those of you who might not have seen it, I secretly devised a little game where I said slogans and catchphrases, and the group, which also included Brian's wife, Liz, thank you, Liz, for joining us too, they had to guess whether this catchphrase came from the video game Overwatch or any of a number of popular fast food restaurants.
Oh my god. I was surprised about how difficult it was, even though I was the only person that played Overwatch in the room, so it was kind of interesting. But there was so many...
There are so many that you would. It was funny because when I was first thinking of it, I was in the car and I thought I was going to do Overwatch or Food Network chef quotes, and then I thought, no, that's like really niche, and I don't even know Food Network chef quotes. So it became restaurant, and you would be surprised. Like, what was it? The one that got me was when I was putting it together was anyone want some barbecue? Like that's Junkrat, but.
Yep.
That could be anything. That could be Outback Steakhouse. That could be Chili's, you know? And it's just, there's so much stuff that's weirdly similar.
I know. It didn't strike me till we played the game how much of Overwatch quotes are actually food related.
Yeah.
Like, seriously?
Well, the one that I was rewatching it, the one that killed me, one of the ones that I said was, everybody dies. And all three of you like hesitated for a second.
Because you're sitting there going, God, I hope it's not a restaurant. I hope it's not a restaurant.
Is that McDonald's?
Like, come on.
Everybody dies.
Yeah. But
yeah,
it was an incredible episode. It was fun. You should definitely go check it out. It was
great having Alec on board.
Definitely. It is always great to do things live in the same space, even though I clap too much. But it's just one of those nervous tick things. You just kind of... I don't know what to do with my hands, especially when I'm between two. I'm not going to even go there. So,
well,
but it's a great episode.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you watched all 2 hours and 55 minutes, or hour,
if you get the extended director's uncensored cut, wait till you see. They don't allow that.
It was after Brian's wife left, weirdly enough.
Anywho, so. Welcome to Addicted to Loot. We usually talk about games and other things that are not on YouTube right now, but definitely go check out that episode. It was really great. Hopefully we'll keep doing it every year. Maybe we'll even get to do it more often. Who knows?
Well, we know that when we are in the same place for PAX,
we might actually be doing 3 straight nights of special live interviews, but we'll see.
Holy shit.
Well, we want to start out today with a very exciting, awesome shout out to Trash. And now,
we here at Addicted to Loot,
we really love Trash.
We are huge fans
Completely
of Trash.
addicted to Trash.
Every variation of Trash.
I mean, we have at least 5 waste baskets at our desk at any given time, just soaking it in.
We were going to call ourselves, we're going to rebrand ourselves in light of recent events to become Addicted to Trash. But then I thought, well, that's going to be AT&T, and like that's taken.
Yeah, and then unfortunately the Trash theme got swept out from under us by a lovely group of...
So we had to bin it.
Yes, brilliant, amazing, awesome people and RPGers, our friends over at the Rollout crew, specifically the Dragon Age RPG crew, is actually making a unique twist of a role-playing stream, calling it the ITU crew, which has a lovely little symbol of a trash can on it. It's great, but it's a very special.
It's like I mean, we're talking like an emblem. This is more than a symbol. This is iconic.
Oh, wait. I mean, no, well, that's not gonna work.
Oh man,
blinding the eyes. But you'll see it up in the show notes and everything else. But you should go follow them. That's twitch.tv/ITU crew, or you can also find it on Twitter, which is at ITU crew. Now, this is going to be a role playing stream, but the unique part of this is that it's audience driven. It's actually...
Who did the logo? I love it. It makes me smile so much.
Apparently
it's a little like kawaii garbage.
We're getting a live feed that says the logo's name is called Trashy.
I love him.
That's straight from the Scaly's mouth. But
thank you, Scaly.
It's a RPG stream that is audience led. So actually the audience gets to control kind of what's happening. It's almost like audience DM kind of sort of thing. So
well, I'm thinking about how, like, just a couple weeks ago, you played Hand of Fate, and that was integrated with Twitch.
Oh, ITU means International Trash Unite.
Right, of course.
Oh,
of course.
I'm behind
that's what you shout when you're on the soccer pitch.
I'm behind the can, I'm sorry.
Hey, ho, let's go. ITU is the way to go. I can't rhyme go with the go, but I just did. Sports fans are dumb. So let's keep going. Let's keep the ball rolling here. Let's get into
other stuff. But definitely go check out those amazing, wonderful people over at ITU crew.
These are big. We're big fans of them.
Yeah, well, we will be joining them as well. So if you want to hang out with us as we control their lives, it's going to be a great time. I just have every other minute. What should we do? Murder the merchant. What should we do? Murder the bartender. What should we do now? Murder the bartender. God damn it. Murder.
Resurrect the bartender so you can murder them? Nah, it's great. So
go check it out. It's going to be a great time. Okay, so now we're actually getting into the actual gaming stuff that we typically do. So we typically structure this podcast as news, playlists, and our big feature every week, which is free game of the week. So we usually forgot to, if you will. So we structure this out as we go
I'm waiting for the week that we forget to do the free game so I can say, I forgot to do it.
You forgot to?
I forgot to.
I apologize. It seems like there's a lot of drop frames for some odd reason. I'm not sure why. Nothing has changed, so we'll just see what happens. Maybe Xfinity is deciding to not like us right now, but hopefully all that subsides. So typically what we do, we cover topical news that's going out in the gaming industry, or otherwise just games that we both enjoy or want to follow. Follow that up with games that we are currently playing right now, and our awesome weekly feature where we give to you absolutely free a game that's already free, so for your enjoyment. Basically, once we finish up with this podcast, you can go out and play it right after we speak, I should say, not as we speak. And also, since we are in December, that means it is time for our big end of the year review. So the 2017 game review will start this week. Now, if you remember from last year, that was a 4-week process of, oh my god.
We are going to be talking about every major game release. Now, that's every with an asterisk after it, because we're going to be talking about ones that we played, or at least one of us played, if not both of us, or games that were major news items.
Yeah, major games, major releases, major successes, and all the games that we played and or we thought were topical enough or impactful enough to talk about.
I'm looking at the list ahead, and we've got Cuphead coming up. Neither of us have played Cuphead,
but it was such a big game that we're going to be talking about it. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be after everything we normally do. So we're going to do news, playlist, Gatua, and then we're going to go straight into our 2017 year review. So the news pieces, playlist, and all that's going to be slightly abridged just so that we can spend the majority of our time trying to get through our list now.
And I just want to interject this before Brian accidentally gives it away, just in case, but we've got a surprise thing at the end of the month.
I wasn't going to give it away.
I didn't know if you were going to. I just wanted to make sure.
I wasn't going to give it away.
I just wanted to make sure. Give you the benefit of the doubt. I give you the benefit of the doubt.
All I was going to say was this is going to be going on for the next 3 weeks.
Okay. But we will have an episode.
And then there will be a special thing. That's Tom's special thing that apparently it's so special that it has to say special no matter what. So. But no, so this will be going on for the next...
Short version is we've got a surprise coming up.
We have a really cool thing coming up I think you all will love and enjoy. So we're definitely going to spend 3 weeks on the list and then big wrap up. If you remember kind of what we did from last year, you might be able to guess what that last week might be. But with that, let's jump into the news. Take it away, Destiny 2, Tommy.
Holy shit, we're talking about Destiny 2 again. So actually, the thing is, there's a lot of Destiny stuff that happened since it was kind of happening when we were doing our Thanksgiving episode, but it wasn't quite shaking down yet, and now it's all kind of come to roost. Short version is that it was discovered that Destiny 2 was throttling XP the more you played. So the experience that you earned through events, the more you played, in real time, the more you played Destiny 2, the less experience you earned. So it was actually discouraging people binging the game, which there must have been some reason for it. They recently did a Destiny 2 official podcast with some of the developers, some of the kind of lead people with it, and it's a fascinating listen that I encourage anyone to listen to. It's very accessible. They talk about it in a very human way, and actually, the fact that they're talking in general, that's a big problem with Bungie. They address that, and it's funny because for me, it wasn't revolutionary news. But to hear them putting into the words, I thought, well, this is good. People should listen to this so they know why this happened.
Well, they did. Comparatively to other AAA companies, they did actually. They delayed a major trailer stream for the expansion. They said, this is growing too big. We need to take our time with this. We need to put proper time into this. We're going to cancel this big stream, and we're going to put more effort into clarifying and addressing these concerns
through this podcast.
Yes, so that you people have brought up, that the community has brought up. We said this is too big. We have to address it. Yeah.
They spent a large part of their podcast talking about something that's really essential. It's really, really essential when you have a game of this scale. They say, we don't want to talk about things because we don't always know if it's happening, if everything's on board. It's not like they can just say, there are certain things. Basically, they talk about how they break it into two different things. There are some things where it's a change on their end, where it's like a server change, where they can say, oh, yeah, you just want to change one digit so a certain amount is different. Some kind of variable is different. Yeah, we can do that. But it's different if there's something in the game client, and then they got to roll that out to everyone. It's got to be patched. Is there some other patch, some other bug that's getting fixed? Can they lump it all together? Does the art department know that this is happening? Does the music department know that this is happening? Do all the programming sub-departments know this is happening? So they can't just go out and say, yes, we're going to change that one thing, because they haven't internally all figured out how they're going to change it. So again, this might not be news to some people, but I do think that probably the average person who plays video games doesn't know or even care about this stuff, but it's good information. It's good information to hear from the horse's mouth, as it were. Mm-hmm. You know, that they do listen. They do care. All developers care. Literally all developers care. Publishers, but all developers care about their game, and they are trying to fix problems. They talk about how they have to prioritize problems. Like, okay, this bug is something that happens 1 out of every 100 times you jump on your speeder bike. But this is a bug that is breaking PvP, a core part of the game. You know, this is et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to definitely draw attention to that. We'll link it, of course, on our website. But this podcast by a couple of members of Destiny 2's team is a really good listen if you can spare the time to listen to it. But yeah, so they were going through this kind of thing where they had this XP throttling. They took the XP throttling off, but then the amount to level up was doubled. Just kind of this messy thing that they're
this messy balance kind of thing that they're doing.
Yeah,
I mean, and the backstory of this is that it was found. There's a big time Redditor, an active Redditor on the Destiny 2 subreddit that actually graphed this out, which is insane to me.
They actually said during the podcast that they legitimately considered hiring this guy.
I mean, the amount of time and effort this guy had to put into collecting and graphing this data the way he did it must have been insane.
Yeah.
But, I mean, literally, his one effort brought this entire thing to light. I mean, maybe it would have been found out eventually, but who knows? It's pretty incrable. And especially how they responded to it. Yeah.
It's weird because I certainly remember, especially when I was younger, I remember playing games and thinking, that's not fair. Like, something would happen and be like, oh, come on, that's not fair. The game is literally doing this on purpose just to screw me over. And it's weird when you find out that actually
is happening, yeah.
Like, it gave me kind of a moral quandary for a second, because I remember just playing games. And I think even not too long ago, it didn't make huge news, but like Overwatch loot crates, they talked about the drop rates of them and how it was like legendary skins were so skewed to be rare. And, you know, not even like an understandable amount, but like a hilarious amount. And so, I don't know. Destiny 2 is in a weird situation where it wants to be... Yeah, the other thing they talked about is they don't have enough content for people who play this game as their prime hobby.
Yeah, as their
and I agree with
who do binge it daily kind of thing.
Yeah, because I play a lot of it. I play a lot of Destiny 2.
I can vouch for that.
I feel like I still have stuff to do, but I know what they mean in terms of, like, I can do 100 things. When I open up Destiny 2, I could do 100,000 things, but what are the things that are really worth it? You know, if you're truly thinking, well, these activities are fun, so I'm going to do them. Of course, that's great. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of really great, well-designed side quests that I'm still, like, working my way through. You could do the PvP. You could do stuff like that. But in terms of, okay, I want to level up my character to improve my character, there is a point where you just hit the ceiling. You just absolutely hit the ceiling.
And it just trickles in.
Right.
It's so rough to get increase in light level.
I'm 289, and every item I've gotten for 2 weeks is 277. It's like, and then I'll get like that one thing that's like 280. Like, holy shit, equip it, you know?
I think at the point you're at, you're only going to get better gear if you do the raids and maybe heroics.
Right, and I don't... Or
the Nightfall, rather.
I don't like the concept of the raid because I don't have 6 friends to do it with, you know? And I don't want to... Okay, I don't have 5 other friends to do it with. And we tried the Nightfall, and boy, it's balls
We
hard.
needed at least... If we had one other person, though, we could have done it. We could have done it.
One other person that we really coalesced.
I mean, we could have done the guided one and got one random person, and then we probably could have made it work.
Yeah, but the guided one doesn't give you the milestone.
Really?
So, yeah, it's not marked as giving you the milestone.
Sucks.
Yeah, because I looked at the raid and I thought, well, I'm high enough, I'll try, and I saw it doesn't give you the milestone either. So if you do the guided one.
Well, apparently we just need to make Destiny friends. Dick to the
PC.
Loot, Destiny Guild, hit us up.
Hey, it exists.
It does exist.
I know Kate, who's decorating her Christmas tree right now, has Destiny on PC, but she's taking her time getting around to it. No pressure, Kate.
Yeah.
But truthfully, I love Destiny 2. I've been having a great time with it, and today the first DLC pack.
Yes,
dropped.
The
Curse of Osiris.
Curse of Osiris.
And so it's a new planet, new mini campaign, new items, and there's some more stuff that's in the pipeline. There's a new item rarity that's coming, Masterworks, which
is interesting.
Reintroduces that concept you've talked about of random weapon buffs.
Which it needs to, because I knew a ton of Destiny, like completely like religious Destiny players, especially like Destiny 1, even moving over to Destiny 2, that they just despise the fact that any 2 pieces of gears are guaranteed to be identical no matter how many times they drop. I
guess I would have had to have had that experience to be frustrated by it.
Yeah, because it used to be that, because like you're saying, because you know how you're saying that every week you find that 277, 277, 277. Yeah. Well, in the first Destiny, it was a dice roll, so at any given time, you could literally have identical gear, but one could just be vastly better than the other one. Like
that makes sense.
It was like the World of Warcraft thing back when, where it used to be that you could all the stats randomly rolled, and people would grind out for better gear, and there'd be some times where gear would get so high level or like such high stats that it actually would roll over and go low.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like that kind of thing. So like, you'd constantly just go for it. I mean, there'd be times where like you could be like a level, let's just say 200 light level some character, and you could just magically, by perfect chance, find a purple that's 270, and you're just like, and you just shoot up, and then maybe you dial it down.
Like, but basically, it just introduces more excitement in the item that you get.
Yeah, I mean,
rather than it's Uriel's gift. I know what Uriel's gift does.
I mean, and that's the whole. I mean, and that's what I mean. The whole reason why we're called Addicted to Loot is going back to the old dungeon crawling days of, if something falls, one of the biggest rushes is the fact that you get to pick something up that could, you have no idea what it is.
One thing that always frustrated me is when we played Champions of Norath, there is a set point in the cave. There's one sword that's at one exact chest every time you play. And there are parts of Champions of Norath that were RNG, but there's one cave that always gave you the sword. It was called like Ice Flame or something like that. And it was a sword that did fire and ice damage. I loved that thing. I loved the look of it. I loved the fact that when you swung, it literally both froze an enemy and ignited him at the same time. But it was always at the 2/3 mark of the game. It was never going to get better. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. But that's the reason why that's like one of the namesakes of why we named our podcast the way we did, was the sheer rush and that we've both had playing games together of those random drops. And it's kind of like, well, you're taking some of the enjoyment out of that when you take away the random rolls. It's kind of like, as opposed to getting a magical dice roll of opening up the chest and hoping for like gold quality loot, you're going to the marketplace and going, I hope I find that one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me go find it.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm glad that they're doing that. I mean, it also brings the level cap from 305 to 330, which is interesting because this is very similar. I mean, this is very familiar for anyone who's played Destiny 1. This is different and completely new to anyone who's played Destiny 2 and Destiny 2 only. The level cap, which went from 305 to 330, it's only available to people with the DLC. So basically, the level cap is behind a DLC wall.
Also, there is now content. There is base game Destiny 2 content. If you don't have the DLC pack, stuff that you will still have in the game that now requires you to be in this higher level.
Exactly.
So, and it's not stuff that's like you're not going to be able to, quote, beat the game or play the game. It doesn't affect your experience, but it's like prestige tier, like it's high tier base game content. It's
basically the loot on the end of the string in front of your face that Bungie's going, get the expansion, the expansion, get it, come on.
It's not.
That's all it is. It's just motivation. It's not
game breaking, but it's intensely motivating.
Yeah, it's kind of like that one thing that you just like. It's everything you get ever once, like right on the other side of a pane of glass. And you just can't. You just
I mean, I will say that when I first bought Destiny 2, I just bought the base game because I thought, I'm taking a chance. I don't know anything about Destiny. You bought it. You bought the deluxe edition. It's right there. You're pointing right at it. It's beautiful. You bought it right out of the gate, assuming, I guess I'm hoping correctly, that you like it. You're really good at that. You're like hitting right on it. Good pantomime skills. It'd be funny if it fell over when you did that. It's just like, but I bought just the base game, and I was happy to buy the expansion pack, knowing that this was coming out. I haven't played it yet. Obviously, it only launched today, so it's only just had time to install. Probably will be playing it after we finish the stream.
But also, I mean, then there's the standard, ability rebalancing, ability tweaks, bug fixes, crash fixes, and all the other fun stuff. But
some quality of life stuff. They've got their patch notes out there, and again, they're planning.
Yeah, there's nothing super groundbreaking in this patch, minus the fact that the DLC, basically the DLC content, the light level upgrade, and the correction to the XP gain, Everything else is everyone's just kind of minutia. It's like it's nothing that's going to completely change up the classes. Like
and
for
story-wise,
me,
expansions, Vex-based, Mercury-based.
Yeah, they say, I don't know, the one review I read of the expansion story is that it has good moments, but for the most part it's pretty grindy. So it's basically something that you'll complete and do, but for people
Obviously,
who,
new items.
yeah, for people who play Destiny 1, though, we didn't get a good expansion storyline till the third. The first two were super just kind of like, yeah, the Taken King was an incredible. Oh my god, I love the Taken King.
Because I wish they would have made about that.
If they could have made the Taken King an entire game, oh, I would have paid $100 for it. Like,
yeah, I remember people saying
it was insane. But the first two were just kind of, eh. So I mean, you have to take it at face value, take the good parts for the good parts and things like that, and just really enjoy it. So hopefully, maybe next week's news or playlist, you'll get to hear what we think about it. And now, to kind of motivate us along into getting into the big 2017 review, the rest of our news pieces are going to be super quick that we just really wanted to bring up and let you guys know. The Division...
Mostly actually game announcements.
Yeah, which is interesting. Hey, we're doing our job. But the Division, which a lot of you, or hopefully a lot of you, may know that was really one of the very first big things we did. Like the very first combined...
It literally was the first thing we did.
The very first ever combined video that we ever did was on the Division. And if you go back and listen to our earlier podcasts, we really enjoyed the Division. The Division was a great game. It's just that it got to a point where, you know, the enjoyment level didn't carry it through to the point that we wanted to keep playing it. I mean, it was
the Division was, and I can say this now, a game that wanted to be Destiny.
Yep.
I
forgot you have that frame of reference now because I was the only person that had
as a reference. Yay.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
In post bioterrorism New York City.
It was trying to be a realistic Destiny, and it didn't translate because Destiny makes
you're
sense.
Shooting aliens and robots, and so it makes sense if it takes 227
bullets to kill it.
But if
you're shooting a guy at a sweatshirt and you're like, why is the sweatshirt bulletproof?
And his health bar is like kind of chipping away.
Yeah, it made no sense. But I mean, it was
still superhero games, sci-fi games, fantasy games work. But when you do realistic,
it just made no sense. But it was still enjoyable. It was gorgeous. It was enjoyable. New York is
great in that game,
and it was just. I mean, it was a really great game. And they're getting another major update, but with that major update, it is going to be going free to play this weekend with a discount. So if you're listening to this podcast in the future, well, first off, thank you for coming with in the future. And also, maybe go check out The Division. It's going to be free to play, and there's a big discount that goes along with it. I think it's a perfect free-to-play game. I don't know if I dropped money on it. I mean, I'm glad I did originally, and we still actually have some of the story left to play.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's good. I mean, it's good enough. I mean, it's definitely worth the free to play. Yeah. I don't know about anything further than that.
I like the Division. I like it. It's kind of like was talking recently about how I don't feel as intensely about the Division as I do about this. But I was thinking about how bummed I am that I didn't spend more time with Fallout 4, which is a game that I really liked Fallout 4, and I wish that I spent more time with it. I want to go back into it. Audio listeners don't see Brian's face right now as he lovingly strokes Destiny 2. I love doing Destiny 2. I like video games, man. I like a lot of them. But the Division is one that I would be happy to, at some indeterminate period in the future, reinstall and go play some more.
I remember the one maybe 2 updates ago. I actually went back and re-downloaded it because it was supposed to be like a huge update. So I'm like, what did they do? What did they do? And it was still good. It's just that they apparently there was a magical update, like the 3rd update, which was to the point where everyone's like, it's the best game ever now. And then they completely undid all of it in the 4th update. And that's unfortunately when I went back. I mean, it definitely felt it felt better from a playing perspective. Like it felt a little bit more nuanced, but overall, it still had the same shortcomings as it did before.
The Division is a very Ubisoft game where it's like zoned off, and the environment is, of course, really lush, really detailed, really beautiful. You could just stop at any random point and like soak it in. You know, I've got some really great memories because it's like a wintry New York City.
And it's basically 1-to-1 too, which is interesting.
Yeah. And so you just have this feeling of like, I have these memories of you and I playing it and like walking through blizzards and just seeing like street lights, and it's great imagery.
Your breath is going out. And
yeah,
you
it's
see
great
people
imagery.
running around. And...
One thing that would have made me like the Division more is, this is going to sound so dumb, but it's true. If there was more character customization, if I felt more like that I was playing a unique character and everyone I saw looked. That's one thing I like about
it. Did miss it, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about Destiny a lot too. Is there are definitely certain sets of armor that you recognize, but more or less it's like, especially with the different dyes and colors and stuff, you see someone come by and it's like, that's that guy playing that guy's character. That's that girl playing that girl's character. You know, there'll be someone that's just all pink with giant horns, and you're like, that's not me. I don't look like that. and maybe it's Brian, who knows? But the point is, there's this sense of ownership, and when you're playing an online game, I think ownership of your character is really
it's paramount. It's one of the reasons, like, you know, an MMORPG is there so that you can basically play Second Life the game. I mean, that's right. If you don't get to have the chance to put your own personal stamp on it, the RPG end of it goes away.
We were talking about this during our Thanksgiving stream. Alec and I were about Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah.
How we were just so excited when we played that game 15 years ago, where it was like, oh my God, I'm playing, you know, my fantasy character that I've devised in my head. And there he is with his cape and his armor that I want to give him. And you're playing your guy. It wasn't just, you're playing this guy who looks this way. It was like, yeah, it was, I'm playing a character I designed. I mean, how cool is that?
It's the difference between like an MMO FPS and an MMO FPS RPG, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe that's the weird way of putting it.
It's part of why a large part of my day has been taken up by Dragon Age, and I'm so thrilled by this. But it's part of why I love, that's why I say Dragon Age Origins is like my all-time favorite video game, is because I felt like with Dragon Age Origins, I was playing this character that I had made. I wasn't playing a game someone else designed. I was playing myself, my character.
Tamaros.
It was Tamaros. It was him. It was the first game where I truly felt, I'm not just playing a character that looks like this and is doing the pre-written story. I am writing this story. Wow. So.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Oh, and apparently, if anyone out there has ever wanted to play PlayerUnknown Battleground, but you didn't want to shell out the money for PlayerUnknown Battleground or the free-to-play Fortnite or anything else, there is actually now a Flash version of PlayerUnknown Battleground. It's Survive.io. Surviv.io.
This is like when you see games like Agare, and other stuff like that, where it's these kind of browser-based things. I played like 5 minutes of this because I only just saw it in my Twitter feed before we started streaming. It's great. It's top down. It looks like old Flash games of 2003. You got a little character and you're running around and you see other little characters and you can punch, or if you find a gun, you can pick it up, but you got to find the ammo. And it's got the whole shrinking environment, so you guys have to get closer and closer. And last man standing out of 100 or so wins. It's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds concept, the Battle Royale concept. In your browser, you can play it right now. And it's the same. Obviously, sure, it's not as, I'm not going to hide behind a wall or a rock or something like that, but it does have some shelter items, so you can hide inside a building and you'll be invisible to people who aren't paying attention. Amazing. I'm thrilled that someone made this. So if you want to know why PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds concept is just like the most mind-bendingly popular game of all time, apparently, play this.
You'll get a taste of it. It's still climbing.
Yeah, and if you want, download the Fortnite one, because that's free too.
That is definitely free. Assassin's Creed, or as it's in the Google Doc, Ask Creed Black Flag, is also going to become free to play next week. So if you're listening to the future, next week through Uplay. So if you actually have Uplay, if you just want to download the client, Black Flag will become free to play. That game, I definitely recommend, not for the assassin part of it, purely for the pirate part of it. That game, if you would have taken the Assassin's Creed, completely divulged of it, and made it a pirate RPG, I would still be playing this game. Like, I would be marathoning this game probably as we speak still.
This game is constantly the first game alphabetically for some reason in my Steam list. And so every time I fire up Steam, it's like, hey, you should play this right now.
You've never played it, have you?
I haven't played Black Flag.
Like I said,
I know that it's like the best Assassin's Creed. That shouldn't even be Assassin's Creed. Like,
just sprint through the assassin part of it, unlock your ship, and have fun. Like that. Literally, I just wanted to spend my entire time driving my ship, hearing pirate songs, and then murdering people. That was great. I mean, that's all you ever wanted.
What else could anyone want out of life?
Exactly. See, chasing the sea shanties. Exactly. So as
Yo-ho,
Praxis
indeed.
is basically saying that in order to unlock all the sea shanties, you had to like chase the music note through a town in order to catch it.
My life is chasing music notes. You just like described my literal career.
That was strangely poetic, actually.
My life is chasing music notes.
Tattooed on his chest. But yes, that's going free to play. I highly recommend it. I think it's definitely worth the free tag. I mean, it was worth probably a $10 tag.
And now it's going free to play for a limited time. It's not.
You need to grab it.
We shouldn't say free to play
permanently,
but
you
be claimable.
Yeah, you need to go on. You need to download it, and then you're set for life. But you actually have to claim it ahead of time. This isn't StarCraft 2. You need to actually claim it and get your stamp on it, and then have fun.
Yeah, and you don't have to. It's not like the good thing about stuff like this is it's not like you have to claim it, install it, play it, or anything. Just literally, there's going to be something where it's like, claim this. Oh, it's been added to your account. You now have it. Play it whenever.
Exactly. Also, a big thing that we've been tracking probably for the last couple podcasts, Okami is releasing December 12th. So
yes, I'm so excited for this.
So that's actually
so excited for this.
Less than a week, so 6 days from today, as the recording of this podcast, which is on the 6th. It's going to be on the 12th, so that's Tuesday the 12th, which might be exactly the next time we record this podcast, but...
I may take that podcast off.
Tommy's already feeling a flu, so...
Sorry, gotta go. But I have been waiting for this for 10 friggin' years.
Hey, I've been waiting too. It's been a long time coming. I'm seriously been... What?
I've mostly been waiting. You also have been waiting for this.
Yeah.
No, in a who's been waiting longer competition. Now, I love Okami.
Yeah, I've been wanting. I'm so glad this is finally happening.
This is I think it was a Wii and PS2. I know it was Wii because that's where I experienced it. And as I've said before, my experience with Okami for the entire game was watching someone play it. It was watching my ex-girlfriend play it, and just the entire thing. This is a huge game. This is like a 60-hour plus game, and it's a Zelda-like game very much. If I could compare it to anything, it's very much like a Zelda game, where you're playing this wolf Amaterasu, and it's completely done in the style of I don't know actually how you pronounce it, the Sumi-e style. The Japanese painter style that you see a lot with the thick black strokes, and it's like kind of watercolor.
Yeah, very heavy ink. It's like water ink.
Yeah. The music is top of the line, AAA, top class music. It's just incredible. It's an adventure. This is exactly the reason why the adventure tag exists for games. It's exactly that kind of thing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that this is coming to PC. And it's an HD, almost an H with an H in front of it. A HD remaster.
The HD.
And HD remaster. So it's, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, it gives you the option to play in its standard definition. So it's like Day of the Tentacle did that recently too.
Yeah.
Where it was like you can get the slick modern day fits your 4K some shit monitor just fine, or the original pixel art at 640 by 480 resolution. So, but
that's pretty cool.
I'm just so excited. This is literally Tuesday. I already have it pre-ordered. I'm ready.
I'm ready. Okay.
I'm ready.
And then apparently Autumn is a weird
thing. This is my
thing.
most hyped game of this year, and it's a 10-year-old game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's sad but true. And apparently Autumn is weird. So why is Autumn weird, Tommy?
The other most hyped game this year,
according to Tommy,
according to me, was Night in the Woods. And a lot of people remember my pre-hype for it and my subsequent continuing praise for it. Night in the Woods is a fan-fucking-tastic experience that I don't even know how to begin to describe. This is a kind of a narrative adventure. I don't know how you would describe it. You're playing this cat, May, an anthropomorphic cat. No, it's not one of those kind of games. And she's just dropped out of college, and it's very much modern day world, modern day, the 20-something struggle. The post-teenager returns to her hometown and is just trying to find her place in this big crazy world, and just talking with your friends. And there ends up becoming, actually my least favorite part of the game is there ends up becoming some kind of story. I like the game better when it's just this disconnected, you wake up and you do whatever you do during the day. You can hang out with your friends, you just kind of have little random vignettes. It's a game of vignettes. It's a game of little narrative vignettes. Like you can hang out with this friend today, and he's talking about how he's having relationship troubles. He thinks he's not good enough for his boyfriend, stuff like that. And so it's just, there's nothing, there are little gamey things, but really it's a game of listening and experiencing these conversations. You're not even deciding the conversation. You may pick option A or option B sometimes, but it doesn't really change anything. It's an interactive fiction with the visuals of those old, those classic like Richard Scarry, like little animal villages where the animals are like, it's a cat, but she's wearing a dress and she's shopping at the supermarket, Reason we're talking about this is it's getting a director's cut, which I completely forgot about until earlier today. There's so much stuff I found out today, and it's coming out Wednesday.
Woo!
And
that is Wednesday,
content.
December the 13th. That is a week from today.
Yeah, it's got new content. If you haven't played the game before, never a better time to jump into it. It's also including these 2 free side games that they had released actually prior to the game, Lost Constellation and Longest Night. One of them is just kind of like a little connect the stars sort of thing. But the other one's an actual mini adventure. I believe that's Longest Night. No, that's Lost Constellation.
Whatever you think it is, it's the opposite.
Lost Constellation is not the star one.
No, the Longest Night is the star one, where it's basically you around the campfire looking at stars, and then Lost Constellation is the weird kind of short story thing.
Yeah, it's like a short story.
Creepy as hell.
It's really great.
Oh, it's great, but it's just like, what?
It's a short kind of folklore ghost story in the Night in the Woods universe. And so those are all getting bundled with this director's cut version, this Weird Autumn version, it's called. And that's free to people who already own the game. So, holy shit. It's great, because I was thinking about replaying Night in the Woods recently because of reasons. And great. Awesome. You're muted.
And what is this other thing happening on exactly the next day?
Okay, so December 12th, Okami's coming out. December 13th, Night in the Woods. December 14th, Gorogoa. Gorogoa is...
Gorgana? I hardly knew her.
Gorogoa, which can be treated with some creams. Gorogoa is my 3rd most hyped game of this year, and I'm only saying that because I'm now finding out that it is coming out this year. Gorogoa is something that's I think, did we bring it up as a free game of the week once?
Maybe.
Not yet?
That sounds familiar, maybe. I don't know.
I think we did. We have a list. I'm going to just check it real quick because I'm curious.
We
did. We picked this as our free game of the week one.
We have a list.
Gorogoa. We have a past free games of the week listed part of the group.
Yes, we do.
Scroll down. So Gorogoa is a puzzler where you are given images, very beautiful hand-painted, hand-drawn images, and you manipulate these images. As it goes, you start with one image and it becomes quickly kind of 4 panels, like a 4-panel comic strip, and you manipulate the images by dragging parts of one of the panels to another part of the panel. And basically in this demo that, God, it's been out for years now, this kid is kind of working his way through the environment. And so maybe this kid, you'll see in one panel, this may not be entirely correct, but this is the concept. He's holding a bowl. And then in another image, and he's in a doorway. He's holding the bowl and he's in a doorway. And another one of the panels has a tree with an apple hanging just kind of in a certain spot. And so if you drag the kid with the doorway over the tree with the apple, he walks through the doorway and the apple falls into his bowl, leading you to the next part of that panel's image. And it's, it just kind of is cool, artsy sequences. I don't know if the full game is going to have a story to it, but you can play the demo right now. It's been out since like 2013. But that's called Gorogoa, and it's actually getting its full release on the 14th.
You can check all that out next week, because
well,
we are apparently a week behind the times, but we are hyped. It is going to be great, and more to this to come next week. So, like I said, our news is a little bit shorter this week, so we can get all into our feature piece. So our playlists are going to be, once again, slightly shorter, kind of abridged. Just for me, I actually played 2 games. One was just brand new, and one is just another recap. The Elder Scrolls Online actually had a free-to-play extended weekend. It was like 4 or 5 days. And we both were curious about it, so I got the short straw of playing it.
That doesn't bode well.
Well, it was basically, hey, Brian, ESL's becoming free-to-play for the weekend. Oh, really? Yeah, you should play it. Wait a minute. What? Okay, Tom.
It's like 80 gigabytes. I don't even have 8 gigabytes on my computer.
That reminds me, I gotta uninstall it. But,
again, not boding well.
It was... So, Elder Scrolls Online, for those who don't know, Elder Scrolls is the same universe as Skyrim, Morrowind, the other ones that I didn't like.
Daggerfall.
Actually, no, not that one. Oblivion. That was the one. Oblivion and all that. And this is basically the
Arena. Yeah, that famous continent of Arena.
Legends, which is actually pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Legends are actually really good. But
that's the card game.
Yeah, not to divert too much as we typically do on this podcast.
Let's talk about what's really good.
Addicted to Divergence is really what we should be called. But
ATD doesn't sound good.
I don't know. But so Elder Scrolls Online is the MMORPG version of the Elder Scrolls universe. And it's weird because it looks like Skyrim. It kind of smells like Skyrim. It kind of sounds like Skyrim.
It's like Skyrim.
But it's not. And that's the problem. It's not. It's just like... It's kind of like if you took a generic, super generic MMO and shoved it in the face of Skyrim, and you were looking at it through the eyes of Skyrim. It's kind of exactly what you would see. It's just like your same face. You're holding the weapon, and then in Skyrim you're kind of like, yeah, but in this one's kind of like, wah, 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 wah. It's very MMOE. It's like very MMO hack and slash, in the sense that there's no stamina. I mean, there's block, and there's interrupt, and there's heavy attack.
So the combat isn't just because one thing that frustrates me sometimes in MMOs is the combat that's click on enemy to engage in combat.
You want to know what combat is? That's combat.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
It's just a bunch of, there's a guy, you should go use your abilities on him. No, I'm just going to keep on hitting the mouse button until he dies. Okay. I mean, it was just... there was no weight behind everything. And the other thing was, if you could imagine Skyrim multiplayer, let's just say, you could actually see, yourself or your companion or your friend, you're on opposite sides of the guy, and he's just, winding up, and he's hitting them, and there's, and everyone's, you're kind of, it feels like an even battle. This was kind of there's an enemy over there. Typically, in World of Warcraft, you go up, you click the enemy, you start attacking them, his name reds out, and no one else can attack him, kind of thing. This one's kind of I want to go, I need to kill that guy for a quest, and 50 guys are on him, and just, and then he dies, and then the mob goes, wee, 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 and it's just what, where's everyone going? And then you're I found another one, and then it's just kind of wah, 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 wah. So it just was, eh. And then they did the weird MMO thing where they literally went, oh, why do people play Elder Scrolls? Oh, they like the open world feel of an adventure. And it just kind of went, after you get done the intro, it's kind of well, what do you do now? And they literally have a bubble that comes up as, you can do whatever the hell you want. Click. Wait, but where should I go? Wherever the hell you want to go.
There you go.
Click.
Off you trot. Have fun. Go, Cosme.
It literally said, he just plops you in a bedroom and goes, figure it out, stupid. Like,
man,
okay.
That's life.
I guess. But it just was missing all the things that made like the Elder Scrolls or Skyrim or anything else.
So basically, it sounds like there's an underappreciated, carefully crafted nature to a game like Skyrim.
Yeah,
versus,
I mean, it's just
versus the MMO, which is the make your own fun. Skyrim is actually, from what I'm gathering from what you're saying, a game like Skyrim has a little bit more direction.
I mean, it just. Yeah, I mean,
which of course, conceptually, a single player game versus an MMO, of course, it's got to have more direction. But
yeah, but Skyrim has actually brought you in and made you feel like the character. This just makes you feel like a guy who's playing an MMO.
Skyrim.
Basically, just I don't know. I could not have. If it was a free to play
store brand.
If it was a completely and utterly and always free to play MMO, I might give it a slight nod. But the fact that it has a price tag on it, I would never recommend this game. Like, it's just, I just don't see it.
Now, is it subscription or is it single purchase?
That I can't recall. I actually didn't do that much looking into it for reasons. But just go play Star Wars: The Old Republic. Like,
oh fuck yeah!
I mean, it's free and it's still probably the best MMO out there right now.
Oh, Star Wars: The Old Republic is another game because I follow them on Twitter and I will just see updates. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, baby. I'll come back.
No, you won't.
Well, the thing with Star Wars: The Old Republic is when I do play it, I shell out for the like premium version of it, just because I can justify that purchase with every minute that I'm playing that game, and B, it gets you just enough advantage. Basically, the cool thing about the Star Wars: The Old Republic model is if you want to just dip in and out of it, free is perfect. You can just play the free version of it and you won't feel like you're missing out on anything. But if you're like aggressively playing it, it's worth shelling out a little cash for the extra inventory
little bit
slots,
of money to make it a premium is worth it if you're playing it enough. But
if you're playing it like it was a game that you just bought at the store.
But like I said, ESO would not recommend paying money for it. Go out and just play a free MMO. It's probably more worth your time anyway. That's basically all I wanted to say on the ESO free-to-play weekend. I'm going to talk once again, on South Park: The Fractured But Whole, because it's a game that I've been marathoning it just because I want to kind of get it off my plate. But it's interesting. This game is, when I researched it, it takes about 20 hours if you're going to completionist it.
Wow. I'm surprised.
Yeah. I've played right up to, I think, the 13-ish hour mark. And if you listen to my previous impressions of this game, I've basically said it's kind of underwhelming. It's like it's okay, but it's underwhelming. Well, by like hour 10, it starts to get somewhat good. Like, actually, because before when I was playing it, it was kind of like
a lot of games end before hour 10.
Like, this game is kind of like it felt like I was slogging through most of it and slogging.
Yeah.
And then it kind of came to this turning point of a mission and a certain unlock and things like that. I'm like, oh, this is starting to get
Cartman's
interesting.
narrative peaked.
And then then it grew, and like the story missions got a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better and better. And it actually got to the point where I'm like, this is like 3 a.m. and I'm still playing this game. Wow, this much it got better. Like, it definitely did get better, but I just don't know if it's worth it to get better by like the almost done mark. Like, I really don't like. If I was just gonna like completely, if you just marathon the single story, it's about a 15-hour less game. So I'm probably right about there. And it's just like, it's kind of like, it's too late into a game to get good that I would recommend people to actually play it. But there is some light at the end of the tunnel if you are thinking about getting this game. It does eventually get better, but I still would recommend the Stick of Truth way before Fractured But Whole.
I have played a lot of games this year. I hate to say it, but there have been a lot, more than usual, I should say, this year, where I've started it up, and if I'm not pulled in the first, 15 minutes, I'm just uninstalling it. And of course I'm talking about free stuff that I've paid for. There's usually a reason I paid for it. It's like, I know I'm going to like this, or I really, really am banking on liking it. But if a game hasn't pulled me in, maybe 15 minutes is too soon. Maybe I should say like half an hour. But if I'm like just really dinging off of it, like I was talking last week, well, or not talking about Killer is Dead. I didn't even play 20 minutes of that. I was like, I am so turned off to this game that I don't want to continue. I don't care if it gets better. I am having such a horrible time right now, right out of the gate. It was just so obtuse for me. It was just so impersonal. I'm like, it's like trying to push your head through concrete. I'm like, why am I doing this? I know that this isn't gonna work, and there's not even a part of my brain that says, yeah, but if you try hard enough. It's like, no, this is just hurting. Now this is hurting.
The life of a podcaster. But yes, no, I agree. So I just kind of wanted to say that little update. I probably will be done this game probably by the time we record the next episode. But I did want to say that it does get an uptick in value later in the game. I did want to say that. So, Tom, you apparently have been loving Animal Crossing Pocket Camp.
Oh my god, I haven't.
You and everyone else in the country besides me.
Really? Do you feel that way?
It's not installed any longer.
Yeah.
I played like 2 days of it, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. I know how many days I've been playing Animal Crossing Pocket Camp because I see how many days since you last signed in.
I forgot about that.
It's like, oh, wow. I've had this on my phone for 62 days. But no, literally, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, I talked at length about it last week during our Thanksgiving cast.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I haven't missed a day. The thing is, there are things in the game. There are some things in the game that reset every 3 hours. There's some things in the game that reset every 6 hours, and there's some things that reset every day. And almost all those milestones I've been trying to hit. Like every 3 hours, the animals switch out. Every 6 hours, the shop inventory switches out, as well as the animals. So you know, 2 birds with 1 stone. And of course, every day there are dailies. And the amount of items that I have, I'm level like 37 right now. The amount of items and the amount of animals that I've unlocked is overwhelming. I look at the things I can craft, I'm like, oh my god. It's like, it feels like it's too much. In a good way, completely good way. But it's so delightful. We were talking about it with Alec, and he said, you know, is this the type of game where it's like you pull it out and you check it while you're working, or do you like you sit and sit with it? This is a great game that I found. I'm sitting in the kitchen, I'm sitting in bed, I'm maybe sitting here at the computer, but I'm turned away from the computer. It's a really good, I want to have the experience of playing a video game, but I don't necessarily want to be here at video game station, you know. Like, it's really weird. I don't know if you ever experienced this, but for me, like, there are certain games. We recently, after we finished the Thanksgiving stream, we played Sonic All-Stars Racing. The 4 of us, which was really funny because we had a keyboard as our third controller.
3 controllers.
Yeah, and so because we only had 2 actual video game controllers. And then Brian says, "Does your keyboard work? Is it a wireless keyboard?" I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, they're killer right." So we're playing a kart racing game with 2 controllers and a
WASD keyboard. Yeah, it was great.
And it wasn't even WASD; it was like arrow keys.
Oh
shift.
Yeah, it was weird.
So bad, but we had fun. But the point being, what I was going to say is when I play that's a game I always play just at my TV. And the TV is only right there. Computer monitor's here, TV's there, but it feels different. I'm in a different place. Whenever I play Breath of the Wild, whenever I'm playing games that are controller-based, I play them on the TV, I'm sitting there. And it's like, it's as if I was playing a different console altogether. And so Animal Crossing feels that way. It's actually a breath of fresh air. If I've been playing Destiny or something, I can go and play Animal Crossing and feel like I'm just doing something entirely different, even though I'm still technically playing a video game. But I love it. If we're not friends yet, let's be friends. Hit me up, slide right onto my DMs, and I'll give you my friend code. It's really cute. And they just added a bunch of animals for like past games, so I'm friends with Blueberry again. I miss Blueberry. She was like my bestie in City Folk. So it's great. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, love it. I finally, another thing I played a lot. I finally got around to playing a game that came out earlier this year called Kingsway. And if there is a more Tom aesthetic game out there. I have yet to find it. I think you even said that. You're like, this is the most you thing.
Oh yeah, this game. I forgot about this game. Yeah, this is completely up your alley.
This is such a great concept. Kingsway is a fantasy dungeon crawler completely presented as a like Windows 95 operating system. So everything you do are like desktop icons that you click on or pop-up windows or things in your taskbar. It literally looks like a Windows 95. It's like Emily is Away, which I talked about a lot earlier this year. Emily is Away 2? No, that was last year, I guess. So like you have what looks like a little like window, like a browser window or something, and it'll be your map. And you click and you'll get like a little pop-up window and it'll be like, you've entered a dungeon. And you can like pull up a music player and it's got this like MIDI quality fantasy music. It's so great. And if that wasn't enough, it's actually a roguelike, which I didn't realize. I remember I bought this game when it came out and I just didn't get around to playing it until now. But it's a roguelike, which means that each time you die, you've got just that much more incentive to try again. It all randomly generates and stuff. So you could play as, I didn't know it was a roguelike. So of course I made a character and I like completely customized the avatar and I named him Tomas or something. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be my guy. All right, I think I'm ready to go. And I lasted like 3 interactions in and then I died. It was like, you died, make a new character. I was like, oh, it's one of these. So I just made a guy named Zark, and he was like this giant barbarian. He had this ugly hair and face, and he lasted forever. This is like, I spent so much time on crafting the perfect character. I was like, all right, fine, fuck it, Zark. He's going Zark the Barbarian. But yes, I highly recommend it. It's actually really fun. Obviously the appeal, what sets this apart is the whole it's a Windows 95 operating system shtick.
I love the aesthetic of this game.
What they do with monster encounters is really clever. So when you encounter an actual monster, you get this pop-up window and it's like you have attack, block, flee, or whatever. But depending on what the monster is, the window moves. So if it's like a snake, the window starts curving around your screen. So you can't just like click attack. You have to follow the window and click attack. If a skeleton archer shoots an arrow, all of a sudden there's a pop-up on the right side of your screen that goes, and you can click on it to block it. But it goes fast. And maybe you'll get 2 of them that go opposite directions. So it's actually challenging. It's fun. I highly recommend it. I unless for some reason the operating system interface puts you off, but I think that's absolutely part of the appeal, and it's probably not too expensive either. But that's Kingsway. I also played a demo for a game. This is one of those things that just kind of pops up in your Twitter feed, and you're like, oh, that looks cool. What is that? This is a game that's being kickstarted right now called Raji, R-A-J-I, and it's literally an action RPG. Where you're playing this girl, but it's steeped in Indian mythology, Indian / it seems like a little bit, just Hindu mythology in general. So the designs are really cool. The music is great. She's got this cool kind of like electro spear weapon, and just looking at like menus and stuff that's grayed out in this demo, it looks like there's bows and maybe swords, other weapon types. But it's your typical kind of isometric RPG, action RPG. You fight enemies, and it's a little bit in timing with dodging, and certain enemies do certain things. Oh, I got to use this kind of attack. Do I use this attack that uses this much energy? That kind of stuff. You've played games like this before. But I like this. I'm going to follow the development of this. Again, it's on Kickstarter, and it's called Raji. Free demo. Go check it out. And the the last thing that I played was a game that was momentarily free called 2000-1: A Space Felony. And this this is a comedy game in the vein of like the Stanley Parable, or I guess more so like Dr. Langeskov, where it's a straight up comedy game that's using the fact that it's a video game kind of like to tell its certain narrative. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's very funny. It's certainly it's a tongue-in-cheek kind of 2001: A Space Odyssey / general sci-fi. It's not a parody, but it's using elements of that to tell its own unique story. Basically, a space station. All I don't think this is a spoiler because this is the premise of it. All the crew members on this space station are dead, and all that's left is the AI, which is called Mal instead of Hal. And you have to basically, through taking the gameplay itself, is you take pictures of things, and if something's relevant to figuring out what the hell went on here, it will cut away to you're sitting now at a table and you're talking to this mysterious figure that's saying what you found in like the future tense. Like you're experiencing the game, but then when you take a picture of something, he'd say, so when you were on the station, you took a picture of a such and such, and explains why it's relevant. And maybe this is important to so it's kind of a mystery that you're unpacking here, and then it cuts back to you in the station. So it's kind of cool stuff. Cinematic video game bridge. I like those kind of things. And you have to determine what happened and deal with it from there. And believe it or not, there are multiple endings. Because I did something when I finished that I did not think was going to be possible. And if you find yourself in that situation, you think, I wonder what happens if I ... do it, because it is possible. And I was happy that I did it. Huh. So that's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Again, it's a comedy game. A Space Felony. Thank you. Yes. It's a comedy game in the vein of, again, Stanley Parable or Dr. Langeskov. So if you like the humor of those types of games, you'd like this. And the last thing... Well, I was going to say the last thing that I played, I was going to just talk about, but it's a free game that I think that everyone should play, which means...
It's time for the Vacatua.
It's time for our free game of the week. If people are wondering, why the hell are we doing that now? This is still early in the episode. It's because, again, we are going to be going into the first third of our Games of 2017
year-end review.
Holy shit. Very daunting list, but we're going to do our best. So, yes, one thing that I played this week that I really want to talk about that is a free thing that I encourage people to check out. This is another, it's another one of Tom's bullshit kind of things. Yes. It's called the Zium Museum. That's Z-I-U-M. Maybe it's Zium Museum, but I'm assuming it's Zium because it rolls off the tongue well. This is billed as being a combination between an interactive museum and like a digital version of a zine, like, a magazine, but edgy. But basically what this is a video game museum of an astounding, like 30-something known video game designers, developers, modelers, asset creators being like showcased in this interactive museum space. So it's like an art museum for digital media. And it's like that concept alone is so cool because you could say, oh, here's a cool, 3D model that I created. Obviously, you can't see that in real life unless you have like augmented reality. So here is this literal, I'm walking through this white sterile museum. You can even turn on sound effects that let you make it sound like there are people in the museum, or you can put in some ambient music and stuff. Yeah, it's literally that. It's literally the sound effects are like, and yeah, I love that because it sets the stage. But it's using the fact, again, like 2001: A Space Felony, it's using the fact that it's a video game to do things. Like there's certain exhibits that like float out into the room. There's certain exhibits, obviously, since it's all 3D assets that you're walking around. This would be great in VR. 3D assets, so you can interact with them. You can pick them up. You can prod them. You can rotate them. This is actually like a criminally underused thing, I think. But there are 3 rooms where it's like you walk into the exhibit and now you're in this room that can go on as long as you want. It's a game. It's limitless. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I've seen obviously a lot of stuff like this where it's like, okay, this is an abstract video game. This is cool. but presented under this umbrella of being an art museum, like a curated art museum. I thought, fuck, this is brilliant. This is perfect. This is what you need to do with these weird little indies that are just kind of like, it's like a 5-minute, explore this little space that I've made. Well, collect them, make an exhibit. Like, there's just rooms that are literally like art museums where it's just walls of paintings, and it's like, here's this person's Tumblr, you can follow them, you can follow their DeviantArt, whatever, follow them on Twitter. But the fact is, it's using the fact that it's a video game to give you 3D and dimension bending stuff. So that's the Zeum Museum. It's free. Check it out. I hope that this is a concept that gets like iterated on. Like, I hope that they make a 2018 version, 2019 version. It'd be really cool to see something like that that's constantly updated. Big fan.
And with that, it is time to finally bring up and go into the 2017 game review. This hulking thing. Tom, you're now below me, just in case you're wondering.
What's up?
Hey.
Oh, that's you. You're up.
So, the Addicted to Loot 2017 year-end review. So, like we said before, these are all the games that we either thought were major releases, impactful games, games that we really loved, or just games we wanted to basically bring up and talk about. So these are what
we did not include DLC or expansions.
Correct. So these are just base games. There was one I almost added, but then I decided against it. I almost added it, but I decided against it. So I lost my train of thought. So basically, these are the pivotal, impactful games that we believe happened this year, so that's why we are going to be bringing them up.
Certainly, obviously, all of these we talked about at length in the, these are mostly chronological, this list.
Mostly, yeah, and we've touched upon these probably earlier in previous podcasts.
Yeah, that's
one way, shape, or form. So we'll kind of do them. We'll see how they go. We might do them real quick. We might say a few sentences on them. We might talk at length, but we just kind of basically see how we go and just see what happens with them.
Yep.
So, to start out the list, excuse me.
Oh, is that me?
I mean, you can if you want. I was just in the middle of a bodily interruption. But
bodily interruption.
That's the polite way of saying it. So, the very first one on our list is Nier Automata. This is actually first on the list because it actually came out really at the turn of the year. It's like January 1, almost, just about.
Yeah.
And this was a game that actually we did talk at length, but it was a special guest talk at length when I brought on our buddy Regis onto the podcast. I think Tom was... You were doing, I think, forget what that you were doing, but you weren't here for a couple weeks.
I wasn't here. I was in
Canada?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right, it was. So Tom wasn't here for like 3 weeks at a time, so I actually brought in a couple special guests to help co-host the podcast, and Ray just came on and he talked about Nier Automata really at length and very, very detailed. Now, Nier Automata is a RPG kind of in the same vein as like Final Fantasy 15 and things like that. It's an RPG with scale. You're playing this really strong female protagonist as you're moving through a world, but as he put it, basically takes out the shortcomings of Final Fantasy 15. And this game actually had really great reviews. Everyone I talked to that's played this game has loved this game. For the most part, I haven't really had anyone say anything super negative about it. I mean, it's a game definitely that's on my list to play. I'm just not sure when I will get to... Yeah, it's definitely a game on my list to play. I'm just not really sure when I will get to play it. Now, I don't really have much first-hand experience with it myself, which some of you may be able to tell, but it looks like a great game. Like I said, it was just really well off. I'm not sure if you have too much else to add about it.
Well, actually, I do. Nier is a fascinating kind of game. I think it's made by Platinum, or if not, right. It's in the style of Platinum games, which is like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, things like that. And there is something about this type of game. This is going to be my Overwatch Moira discussion again. There's something about this type of game that I just don't get. There's something it does not appeal to me whatsoever. And I look at it and people are like, oh, the combat's great or something like that. And I'm watching it and this is another game. I was talking last week about Soma. that I saw as well. Nier, I saw the entire thing sped run, which is how I'm settling on the past tense
Sped
of
run.
speed ran. Speed ran.
Sped run. Sped run it.
It was speed run.
Speed run it did.
Someone was speed running it, and I watched. There we go. And I watched the whole thing. And I was far, far more invested in the speed run itself because it was run by the fantastic Half Coordinated, who's just a wonderful soul altogether. But he plays games one-handed because he has something where he doesn't have use of one of his arms. So he was doing the entire game one-handed, and it was fascinating to see how he talked about, how he did certain things and techniques. But I just have no interest in the game. And I watched
it's kind of like a Devil May Cry. Yeah, it's like a Devil May Cry RPG. Yeah,
I don't get into the Devil May Cry thing. I don't get into Bayonetta at all. I don't understand it. There is something about this type of game that is obviously very appealing. The people who play and love these games love them. They're just, I gotta believe that comes from somewhere, absolutely. But it's not me. It's so not me. It's amazing how much I look at them and I'm like,
interesting.
Why is this so appealing?
Yeah,
this is not appealing to me.
It definitely is on my list to play.
Yeah,
it's a game that I've heard so much about that I'm excited to play it. I mean, I do like, I don't know, I'm always up for a good hack and slash. I mean, that's just me personally.
See, I like
they like top down hack and slash, kind of dungeon crawly hack and slash.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about, like, I never played any of the, what was it, like, I guess it was Devil May Cry, right? That there was
they were the original big super mega combo kind of action game.
That does nothing for
you shoot the guy into the air, then you chain him 300 hit times, and then you shoot him through a wall.
It makes my eyes water. Like, I can't focus on it. It's just like, it's too over the top for me. And I am like the king of over the top. And it is just like super flashy. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, this is too much noise. This is too much.
It's all about the combat comboing, basically.
The thing that's most appealing to, or the one thing that is appealing to me about Nier is that it apparently has like 27 endings or something to it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a really, really good RPG.
Yeah, but of course I'm looking at the next game we're going to be talking about, and it's
so we'll just skip the next one real quick. So
and I'm Mr. Like, everyone should play this.
So why don't you just go for it?
Well, were there any other thoughts on Nier?
No, that's basically it.
Yeah,
we basically tied it up. And then we should say before you go on your marathon, when we go through all this, please let us know what your thoughts are, because maybe there might affect voting at the end of something. So you may just want to.
If there was a proverbial voting, of course.
Yes. So please let us
on these games.
Yeah, please let us know if we say a game like, oh, this is a big game, we didn't really like it. You're like, no, it was a big game and I loved it. Let us know.
No, I am.
Email, Twitter, anything. Let us know what you feel.
Yeah.
Maybe write in what games that you think should be considered for Game of the Year. All that fun stuff. But with that, Tommy. Go away.
Well, I'm always open to counter arguments on games unless they're wrong. So anyway, the next.
That's why God invented a mute button.
Just thinking of that Mariah Carey. I don't know her. I can't read suddenly. I don't know. So after Nier, one of the next big releases was Night in the Woods. I was just talking about Night in the Woods, so I'm not going to reiterate too much, but it is to basically talk about what Night in the Woods is like. The game is what it is. It's not like a game that you play because you like the gameplay but don't like the story. It's not like that, or something where you could say, "Oh, I like playing it, but the story is." It literally is the story. It's the story of the game. It's like saying Telltale games. It's like, "Oh, I don't like the story." Well, then there's no reason.
Why are you playing the game?
Yeah. Certainly, Night in the Woods. If there is a game, quote quote, it's platforming. I guess you can kind of explore the town. But it's more about being in a place in your mind. It's a game about, it's a coming of age kind of experience. Again, my least favorite part of it was the fact that it started to take, this is a slight spoiler, but it starts to take a supernatural turn towards the end of the game, and it kind of funnels into a plot. And as I said before, I liked it better when it had no plot. I liked it better when it was just vignettes. But certainly it's the disenfranchised, it's the step after disenfranchised youth. It's like disenfranchised young adult trying to franchise. I don't know. It's a game about coming to terms with life and the world. And
Oh, well, looked like something might have happened with Tommy. Please give us a minute while we.
put into games.
There it is.
Strange. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you dropped for a few seconds there.
Okay. I guess Life is Strange kind of does this, but Life is Strange is more about teenage angst. This is a rare game that covers 20-something angst. I mean, the main character is literally 20, but me at 27 is like, yeah, that feel, bro, you know? I'm like, been there, you know? And it tells stories of Middle America, of the American story, I guess. It's because it takes place in like a post economic boom town, like the remnants of a town, and the little vignettes of people talking about how their lives are and stuff. It's great. It's a great game. I love Night in the Woods. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, he loves it.
It's so hard to pitch Night in the Woods. It certainly has a very specific audience.
I feel like Night in the Woods is like... I feel like... And I think it to your point, like, if you're going to pitch Night in the Woods, you almost don't have to, because the people that know about Night in the Woods are the people that want to play it. So it's like, why would you pitch it to anyone else?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, you already know what you're kind of getting into if you're playing Night in the Woods. Yeah. I think that's kind of like where it goes.
Watch a trailer, or if a review does it for you, you're going to like it. If it doesn't do it for you, you're not going to like it.
Exactly. It is exactly what it is, no more, no less. Next big game on the list is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. This is the...
Which I always forget it's called Biohazard.
Yeah, it's weird.
RE7.
Yeah, but it's Resident Evil 7. It's the one that takes place down in the like swampy area of down in the bayou. Basically, you get locked in a house with a very crazy family. You have to figure out your way out. Now, neither of us are really big Resident Evil fans or like horror games in general.
Yeah, I do want to say that because I was looking at this list and I realized there were like a couple of horror games that came out this year that I just know nothing about. I'm not a horror fan.
I actually watched a streamer play Resident Evil 7 for a little while, for a good long while. I probably watched like 6-7 hours of it, just basically background music kind of thing. And I mean, the one thing that was resounding about Resident Evil 7 was that people said it brought Resident Evil back from its recent games. Like, it actually was a much...
Well, it was turning into like an action, like...
Yeah, it was weird.
Kind of game.
Yeah, they actually said this brought it back towards kind of the original influence and the original motivation behind back when like your Resident Evil 1 and 2 and things like that. You know, where... You know, you don't really have that many weapons. You're kind of defenseless. You have to. It's really a puzzle game with horror elements and things like that. So it just got much better reviews, much better reception, really great things.
It's Resident Evil more on the Silent Hill side of horror than the
I mean, I'd say
fighting
like
zombies side.
I mean, it's like Resident Evil 1 versus Resident Evil 4, kind of. I mean, Resident Evil 4 is like one of the very first times you're not fighting zombies anymore. You're fighting like weird people things with like plenty of weapons and plenty of ammo.
Jacked up kind of paramilitary guys.
Now it's kind of like, oh no, these people, there's something freaky about them, and there is kind of zombies and monsters, but I only really have this like stick. So
I've also seen a lot of like footage and gameplay kind of clips of RE7. I remember people really liking it when it came out, and I like it in the same way that I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is, you know, like it occupies that same kind of part of your brain where it's like, oh, you know, creepy hillbillies.
Basically,
that famous genre of creepy hillbillies, and so I wouldn't play it, but I kind of like it, you know. But yeah, obviously neither of us have played it. So.
But it's overall a pretty good success for Resident Evil. Next,
and it was really gross.
Well, yeah,
that's a given. RE7 stuff that's gross.
That's a given. This game was real freaky.
Yeah.
But next game on our list is a game that we both played and kind of left a sour taste in our mouth. For Honor was a... Was it Ubisoft? No, it wasn't Ubisoft. Was it Ubisoft? It was Ubisoft. Yeah, For Honor was a Ubisoft game where it was a take for Ubisoft to try to mix up the multiplayer genre in the sense of all the multiplayer games out there are shooters. how about we try to do a sword combat multiplayer game? So it was a game where you were either a Viking, a knight, or a samurai, or some form of those three, and you fought in hand-to-hand sword combat against each other in multiplayer or a story. And we both played the open beta at least once. I think I played it twice, and you only played it once, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I liked the novelty of the game. That's about as far as it went. It was... I feel like by the time we ended the beta, even the first time, because the second time I felt the exact same way. Like, by the time the end of the beta, which was only like a day or two, I already felt like, yep, I know exactly what this game's going to be. I don't think it's going to be any further than that. I don't really see many more areas that this game can surprise me or grow in any way in terms of my personal perception of it. So, thank you for thank you for doing this game. It's fun. It looks pretty, but no, thank you. Like, I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it as a free beta. I would not enjoy it as a game I paid for.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I don't like my combat slow and clunky, and that's very much exactly what this is.
This is like, supposed to be,
what it's meant to be.
It's a game, like, it's a multiplayer game that's supposed to be more slow, methodical, as well as kind of, 1v1 with... you gotta beat mano a mano the other player versus just like a bunch of machine guns going off. It's kind of like two people with swords. You gotta combo when he combos. You need to defend when he attacks and all this other stuff.
That's like two things I hate, which is slow combat and being forced to fight just one person.
Which is funny because the character that I enjoyed the most was the fastest fighting samurai, which had the least amount of defense, which is interesting because it's like the exact opposite for me typically.
Right.
But I like the much faster classes comparatively. But
which were still slow in comparison to most.
Oh yeah.
It was. I do understand that's the intention of the game. It wanted to do that.
It's a game that, and the other thing I didn't like about it was I thought it was going to be a game where it was kind of like, there's a very old PlayStation 1 game that was extremely realistic sword fighting to the point where you could kill a character in one swing because it's realistic. If you hit a guy in the chest with a sword, he dies. I can't. It's not Ninja Gaiden, but it's like it has Blade in the title. I forget exactly what it was, but it was a PlayStation 1 game. But I thought it was going to be something more like that, where it's going to be, very, very like unimpressive sword v sword. Like you hit each other a couple times. There's a health bar, but ultimately you're just going to slash and then die. But no, it's kind of like it was one of these games that almost it almost felt like a 2D fighting game in the sense of there's magical combos that you just don't know about unless you research them. Like,
it felt like a fighting game.
Quick, strong, quick block, quick, strong, and then you're like, oh, you do this special backflip, and like, it was weird in the sense of like, I understand that these characters are specialized fighting styles and everything else, and that you have built-in combos in the fighting style, like, oh, you must do strike of waterfall kind of thing. But it's kind of like, well, let me figure that out by doing it naturally, by doing button combinations, not like, oh, hey, if you hit the light attack button
memorize
3 times,
memorize this.
It just felt like that's all it was to me. It didn't like. I wanted a game that just felt more along the lines of, you were either quick or not quick, or heavily defended or not heavily defended, and you just need to basically rock paper scissors the guy. But it just wasn't that. And then,
I'd be curious to know what the crossover is between fans of like Mortal Kombat and games like that and this. Now that you've mentioned,
I don't know. And the other thing was, this is a game that could have been successful in its story campaign, kind of like Dynasty Warriors was, because Dynasty Warriors was just nothing but massacre.
Well, there was a very Dynasty
killing.
Warriors element to For Honor, where there were these like little grunt characters that you could just
massacre.
But
even the story really wasn't well received. It wasn't well reviewed. It didn't really get much hype or anything else, which is the main reason we're like, well, we thought, well, maybe the story will help.
I forgot there was a story.
The story was built and like parted together in a weird way. Like you jumped between races, and then the weird fantasy arc that puts them all three together in one world was so weird. Like,
I remember the trailer being like, I think it was this woman I will create war.
There was a world, and then the world was sundered, and then I pitted 3 people against resources.
Ever.
Because they need water, and they are gonna fight. It's kind of like, okay. But yeah, that was For Honor. I mean, it is what it is.
Usually a fan of video games bullshit, and that's like capital video games, capital bullshit.
But it's just, this was just like, really? Like, this is a stretch. This is a stretch even for video games. It was kind of like,
For Honor feels like like you said, they kind of said, let's try something different, but I know exactly the type of person who
They were going for it, yeah. And then even still, it died pretty quick. It didn't have a long lifespan in the multiplayer world, so
yeah,
it's still trying to crawl up from the depths, but no, it's probably
there's probably like parts there of something, you know,
yeah, potentially. A game that was released early in the year, but someone didn't really get to till much later in the year, but
typical
has probably a lot of good things to say about.
Yeah, so after For Honor, or I'm saying after, around the time, Torment Tides of Numenera came out, which is a game I talked about maybe 3 weeks ago.
That's about right,
at length. And boy, oh boy, what a great game. This was a science fantasy RPG in the vein of classic RPGs like Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, things like that. Very much designed to look like those. In fact, made in the not Infinity Engine, the Pillars of Eternity engine, which looks like the Infinity Engine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's made to look like these RPGs of the early 2000s, maybe even late 90s. Absolutely great collection of weird science fiction. You're playing this character who's actually your body was somebody else, and when his, like, for lack of a better word, like consciousness left your body, your consciousness formed inside it. And so what a great start to a game, because you literally you've fallen out of the sky and you land, and people already know you. And to the point where it's like, hey, I remember you owe me money. And you're like, I'm literally like newborn. Like I've been alive for minutes. I don't know anything. And it's just, it's a great collection, again, of weird. And I'm saying weird as the genre, like H.P. Lovecraft is weird, you know. You could say some Edgar Allan Poe stuff is weird. I'm not saying it as, oh, it's odd, but like just
poetry.
The genre. Yeah, the genre weird.
Edgar Allan poetry.
Poetry. Yeah, with a name like that, really, honestly. What else are you gonna do? I'm Edgar Allan Poe. I run a sandwich shop. Which I guess Po' Boys is the name of a type of sandwich. Anyway, that's where it came from. Torment Tides of Numenera. This is another classic one where it's like Night in the Woods, like a lot of games that I play, where it's like, I love it. I find it difficult to recommend. Torment, certainly more than something like Night in the Woods, because I think there's a broader, are you a fan of just fiction? Like in general, are you a fan of sci-fi? It's more sci-fi than fantasy, but it's a type of sci-fi that's using fantasy elements. Very dense. It's a very, very, very dense game. It's all in the writing. You're exploring the world, but it's more set dressing than anything.
Mm-hmm.
There is some combat, but yeah,
you don't play this game for the combat.
No, not at all. And thankfully, it's a game that it in fact goes so far as to encourage you to say, hey, you know, there are ways to like avoid a combat situation, but sometimes it's hard. It's like I was talking about how there was a situation where I had this young girl in my party, and it was like this woman who was potentially abusive towards her was like, oh, thank you for finding her. Now just give her back to me and we'll be square. And that would be my way of avoiding combat. But however, I certainly was siding on the side of the little girl. Like, hell no, I'm not going to give her to you. So I was forced into a combat situation, which actually ironically was like the more difficult option, not because, oh no, I'm going to have to fight, but oh god, this combat system sucks. Really? All right. You know, I'll suffer through it to stand up for this. You know what I just did for you? You have no idea how irritating that was. So it was a worthwhile sacrifice that I made in the IRL.
In the IRL.
Yeah, but Torment, again, go listen a few weeks back. I talked about it much more. I liked it a lot. There were parts of it that, like, but overall, absolutely one of my highlights of the year.
Next one on the list is one of mine, because I put it on here just because it was one of the more well-received VR games this year.
That's what it is. You added this. I'm like, I don't recall. No pun intended. No pun intended. I don't recall this game.
Yeah, so Robo Recall was actually one of the original release titles for the Oculus Rift, which I actually got my hands on. So it actually came with the Oculus Rifts when I bought it way back when. So I actually talked about a few Oculus Rift games when I first got the Oculus delivered to me. And this was one of them, and this is actually probably one of the ones I put the most time in. It's a game that's really no fuss, no frills. There's a bunch of robots, you need to shoot them. It's really just as simple as that. It's
a step up from VR Tech Demo.
Yeah, it's kind of like you have a bunch of weapons, then you have a bunch of weapons that you can customize. You have 4 different types of weapons that you can load up in certain slots, and you can choose to use them in certain different ways. And then you also can physically manhandle the robots. You can shoot them, throw them at each other, grab them, punch them, whatever.
The androids.
Right? Yeah. So it's a game, one of those that you need 3 stars to unlock next level. You play a little bit more, you unlock more gear, you try to go back to the first mission to do better so that you can unlock another star to get that kind of game. It's just there's a bunch of there's missions, but you can just constantly replay the mission. So it's not like a story. It's just go to this area, try to do these missions, go to this area, try to do these missions, and so on and so forth. And this basically just showed off really the capabilities of the Rift. And oh my god, it was just enjoyable. I remember this is still one of those games where I was just I remember coming to the end, I'll go in, I'll play a few missions. I play a few missions, and at the end, I'm just I'm like, why am I sweaty? Woo! That was because you're just sitting there going, oh my god, I'm overrun. And it actually
that's cool.
Provides you the feel of, oh my god, this is just make them stop.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there shooting to your heart's content. It's because you literally would shoot it's like a Reaper reloading method. You keep on shooting the guns. When they click out, you drop them, pick up 2 more guns, and just keep shooting.
Except you drop the Rift controllers. It's oh shit.
Where are they?
This isn't gonna work.
Excuse me. If you want, you can physically palm the bullets and throw them or swat them out of the way. Cool. Yeah. And you can grab missiles and throw them back at people. And it's just fun. It's a fun little game. It's just and they have little combos. If you juggle someone in the air, you shoot a robot and then you shoot them again and they keep on bouncing, you get combos.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
You can get little combos.
How are you feeling about VR?
I haven't touched it in a while.
Being an owner.
Yeah, I haven't touched it in a while, mainly just because there's just been a lot of games to play. But I still want to get back into it. I still actually want to play it again. I have to set it up on my new stand because I actually have so much more working space on my new PC rig and my new desk. I actually have a ton more safety to move space. So I have a lot more mobility here. So I really want to get into it and actually try a few more VR games. Because there actually was there's a space VR game that came out probably a couple months ago now that's actually extremely well received. I forget exactly what it's called. But that's a game that I really want to try and play. So I definitely do need to get back into it. But Robo Recall, if you have a Rift, you probably already have this. But it was a really good game. Really, really fun game. Moving
I found
on,
something random on my floor, trying to figure out what it is.
Moving on to Ghost Recon Badlands. So, but this is a game that
means we've been making that joke since March.
Yes, this is another game that we started out with the beta. We each thought certain things about it, and actually ended up with one of us actually getting it. So Tom actually bought this and played it full scale. So, what are your thoughts?
This is another one that I am constantly thinking. Eventually, I will get back into it. My interest, if what Brian just said wasn't spoilery enough, Brian didn't quite care for it. I liked it enough to buy it.
Yeah.
And this is kind of it's a Ubisoft game, kind of like we were just talking about The Division earlier. Big, immense, incredibly huge world to explore, wrapped up in a what would you call it? Third-person kind of.
It's kind of
kind of
third-person
shooter.
Open world SOCOM or Ghost Recon.
Whatever you would call SOCOM.
It's like a third-person open world tactical shooter.
Tactical shooter. That's a good term for it. Yeah, because it's you and a squad of 3 other guys. Now, Ghost Recon Wildlands really did want to play up the play with your friends angle of it, but I obviously played it single player. Besides in the beta. When you and also Sam joined us for a chunk of that too.
That was fun.
And it was fun. I liked the multiplayer part of it, but as a single player game, I enjoy it. You obviously you tell your guys, hey, you get that enemy, and it does the cool thing of you get that guy, you get that guy, you get that guy when I say go.
Yeah.
You know, I like that kind of stuff. So it's like you got 4 guys in a sniper nest, right? And there's 4 of you. And so you each claim one, and it's like on my trigger, you know, shoot them. And it's just this cool experience of and you see your plan
actually unfold.
Hopefully
Yeah.
unfold. It's very fun kind of game if you're a fan of Far Cry's, like outpost clearing, you know. If it tickles the part of your lizard brain that likes that, that's the same kind of thing. See, that's, I think, the thing. I love the Far Cry outpost clearing experience. You not so much?
I like it for like the first outpost, and then it kind of it gets worse and worse and worse. After a while, it gets to the point where I just want to take the elephant and run through the game and be like, that's it, I'm done.
Oh, yeah. No, to me, Far Cry is the outpost clearing.
Well, of course it is. It's 90% of the game.
Yeah, but I mean, like, to me, that's the... I could take or leave the story. That's what it is for me. And I'm so excited that we're getting Far Cry 5 next year. I am ready for Far Cry 5.
I'm still not sold on it.
Oh, really?
Every Far Cry I've played so far, I've always been like, yeah, and then by the time I played a couple hours in, I'm like, eh. So I just don't know.
What do you think it is?
Once again, it just becomes too repetitive. It becomes extremely like, even though all the outposts look different, they all play the same with the same weapons and the same tactics. And it's kind of like, it just becomes. I don't know, it all becomes monotonous. It's all just the combat's all the same, the driving's all the same. You know, the story missions are the only thing that gives it slightly different things. But even the story missions are like, do these same things, but just in a certain order. It's not like it's anything special. It's just kind of like, shoot that guy and drive this thing, but this time drive this thing and shoot that guy. It's kind of like, okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I love Far Cry. Far Cry 3 and 4.
They should do more Blood Dragon. I would play that.
Blood Dragon was a great diversion, but to me it didn't scratch the itch.
Yeah.
Blood Dragon was like, oh, this is fun. I love this
fun
game.
80s. Just
yeah,
wildness.
I love what this game is doing. This is incredibly up my alley. But I there's a part of me that just adores Far Cry 3 and 4. It's hard to separate the two because they're basically the same game. But I like 3's Tropical World just so much. Far Cry 3,
than like the Nepal kind of thing.
Yeah, but I like Far Cry 4. Like Far Cry 4 has that single-person helicopter, and that's just fucking great. That crossbow, that one-handed crossbow, is just fucking great. I like Far Cry 4's stuff, but I like Far Cry 3's world. Far Cry 3 felt also like an 80s film, which is why it's funny that they did Blood Dragon. But 80s film in the excess of like, all right, we're going to the tropical country, you know, to shoot up everything, you know, and it just is like obviously drawing on that for its imagery. But it's fun. I love it. It's the part of my brain that likes checking things off a list. Like, okay, this guard is here.
I think that's the problem that I didn't like about it. Like, I love stealth games, but this wasn't a stealth game. It was just a giant laundry list portrayed as a game. And it's just
I see the laundry list. It's like, I am ready to conquer this particular collection.
I just look at the laundry list like, and none of it I actually care about. And that's the problem.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
So what
there's a thrill to the, all right, I've disabled the alarm. Okay, now I got to take down this guy, and you know, only the moment he walks out, I'm going to chokehold and hide the body.
Mine is just how many cheetahs can I get in here before I decide to turn off the game.
See, I hate that.
I'm just like log meat.
When Far Cry 4 was like, oh, you could just like bring an elephant into the base. I'm like, oh, well, that's not fun.
It was tons of fun. I'm just like,
I didn't like it at all. I did it the one time that they like basically
told you to do it.
Do it, and it's like, hey, there's an elephant and 2 guys standing in front of him. Do it because we're teaching you that this is a thing you can do. I do like the whole like shoot the cheetah cage and he gets out and stuff, but that's so dangerous. That's so risky that it's like, I'm only going to do that in an emergency. But,
I do that, and then I throw a couple Molotovs in there and just light the whole place on fire.
That's the opposite of how I play. I'm so like surgical when I play Far Cry.
I just wait for the world to burn and then just everyone's dead. Do stab. Yay! I completed it. But you know, so what are your closing?
That's it. Maybe that's it because I'm sorry. I'm like hung up on this. But it's like maybe that's it because like that doesn't sound fun. So I could see where you do that 2 or 3 times. It's like, wow, I've caused chaos. I'm causing
No,
chaos.
but the problem is I start out like you. I do every single, like, the first couple outposts strategically and perfect, like 100% undetected stealth.
Love
and then
it.
that
just gives me like
that's what
like
gets
orgasmic for me.
That's what gets boring, and that's why I go to the other method. And then when that gets boring, I just turn it off. Like, that's the problem. But so, what are your closing thoughts on Wildlands?
I've probably played Far Cry 3 and 4 like
Wildlands
5 times each.
Wildlands,
I love it. I am. It's another game that I'm happy to eventually go back into. It's a big open world, so it's like it's a game. If I had enough hard drive space, there's a certain chunk of games like Fallout, like this, like Skyrim, that I would just keep installed. Sleeping Dogs, Prime 1, that I would just keep installed and say, you know what? Saturday, I've actually got some time today. I'm just going to dip into it and then go and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like Wildlands a lot.
All right. Going on to...
yeah.
So, Mass Effect Andromeda is a game that we've talked about probably more than any other game this year, period.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
No, we've probably still talked about
You're
this.
right. I'm thinking about it. You're right.
We've talked about this game before it released, when it released, and basically every other week after it's been released.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't stopped talking about this game, whether in good or in bad. I don't know if there's really much more to say about it. It was a game that we were, we started out excited for, then we got cautiously excited for, and then it came out and we were like, oh, maybe, and then by the end of it, it became a game that was... It was missing the spark to make it special.
For anyone who doesn't know, Mass Effect Andromeda obviously was the latest Mass Effect game, Mass Effect franchise. Mass Effect famously had 1, 2, and 3. It was kind of a self-contained trilogy of games that were just beloved, amazing, perfect science fiction games. 3 had contention. 1 was janky, so basically 2 is a perfect game.
I love 1. 1 is still one of my favorite games.
1 is good too.
I love 1.
It is.
But yeah, 2 is...
The whole thing's good. Mass Effect 2 is the Empire Strikes Back, right? It's the one that's universally just better. It's got more complexity to it. But Mass Effect Andromeda was a new game. The concept was that some people... creatures gathered during the events of the original trilogy and shuttled off for the Andromeda Galaxy. So this basically gave them the premise to create an alternate. All right, here's the races and creatures and aliens and elements you know and love from Mass Effect, but in a new place. And on paper, that sounds great, but there were a lot of problems plaguing the development of this game. A lot of kind of reinventions, and what ended up happening was basically something that felt like it was halfway to what it could have been, maybe less. I liked Mass Effect Andromeda. At the end of the day, I liked it. There were more times of it that I liked than I didn't like, but the last quarter of the game, my last 25% of it was pretty tough. And then it ends and it's like, oh no. Because it certainly is a game that sets up some interesting stuff in the world, in the story that's telling. But it was already clear that this game was pretty troubled, and it ends with like sequel bait cliffhanger stuff. And as has come out over the course of this year, there is no sequel.
No.
There's no DLC. There's no...
My main problem, like, for Andromeda, it was a game that... I don't know, I guess a little less than you. It was a game where I loved the moments that I enjoyed, but there was just too few and far between to really make me even really, like, kind of find the game, like, okay. It was a game that was marketed as an exploration game, and it starts out kind of in that vein, but not even midway through the game. Before midway through the game, you're already thrusted into being the hero again, and you're kind of like, I thought Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 was my epic journey of being the Shepherd, the mega hero that saves the galaxy. This whole mission was supposed to be, you're a new character, completely new, completely devoid of Shepard, and you're supposed to go in and find a new home. That's it.
You're
That's
literally
all you're supposed to do.
You're a research and development team.
That's it. You're literally just supposed to go in, find a new home, and then by the end of the first mission, you're a young kid thrust into the leadership role. Like, why am I here? Just because. Okay, great. And then you're kind of like, okay, so we need to find a new home. There's an enemy in the way. Why is this enemy in the way? Because he sucks. Got it. We need to kill him. Okay. And then you're just like, wait, I just got here. I literally just got to this galaxy. Why am I saving it? Like, that was like, it still boggles my mind. Like, why did I have to become, like, why do I have to lead this task force, assault force now? It's kind of like, I'm a researcher. Let me be a researcher. But it's kind of like, that's the thing. It promised one thing, tried to deliver nothing, and then ultimately just stepped on its own toes over and over again.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just got distracted because we're on Kate's TV and it's enormous.
Is that a new thing?
Sorry. Yes. Anyway, yeah. It's the whole chosen thing. No matter what, you're the chosen one. It was a little bit frustrating, but I really liked. I don't know. There was a lot of. This is gonna sound weird, but there was a lot of Mass Effect in Mass Effect Andromeda, like the characterizations, the kind of quirks in the writing. It's like when you watch a film by a director that you know, and you just see certain elements. You're like, "Yep, that's why I like, Joss Whedon or something like that." That was in Mass Effect Andromeda. It was almost like, actually going with that comparison, it's like Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 were a really good trilogy of movies, and then Mass Effect Andromeda was an sci-fi series based on that movie.
Yeah, kind of.
It's like, there were a couple episodes I liked, but overall the series, I was
like, the first studio sold it to another studio who just wanted to rake in a little bit more money, so they kind of made their own twist on it, but ultimately just kind of came back.
And so it's like, well, they used obviously the set design and all the,
That was the other thing. Like, this is a game that you
same costume designer.
You go to a completely different galaxy. Yeah. You find two other races. It's like
2 arms, 2 legs, face,
they have a
eyes,
face,
mouth.
Like, there's just 2 races in a galaxy.
There was like one type of creature that was like, whoa, look at that big flying thing.
And that was it. It's kind of like, well, it's like, you go to a whole new galaxy, and 90% of everyone you saw was was basically a race you played in the first 3. It's kind of like,
yep. Yeah.
Where's the exploration? Like, where's the awe factor here? It's kind of like, so I don't. We'll leave it at that. You could go literally to any podcast we've done this year and listen to us talk about this game.
Never a truer word.
You could throw a dart at a board, pick a random number, and there's about a 90% chance we talk about this game.
April 17th. They couldn't have possibly. That was when it came out.
Yeah, we will talk about it. Literally, probably into last year, we probably were talking about this game.
Yeah. No, I feel at the whole post-mortem on Mass Effect Andromeda, I feel badly for them about it. Yeah. I feel like it was a game that probably, this is horrible to say, but probably at some point they should have just scrapped, and they should have just said, okay, let's keep these ideas, but this isn't working.
Yeah, this is a game that just should not, Anthem, maybe. We'll see. I don't know, but we'll see. Dawn of War 3 is literally in the same exact boat for me. I know Tom really doesn't have a dog in a race for Dawn of War 3, but for me, I was always a big Dawn of War fan. I'm a huge Warhammer 40k fan. I mean, I'm still playing a Warhammer 40k based tabletop RPG. I have a lot of different 40k games. I love this. I mean, I love the Dawn of War franchise.
Cheese was hotter than I thought. Go ahead.
I love the Dawn of War franchise and the Warhammer 40k franchise. Dawn of War 3 was unfortunately an attempt at turning like a beloved RTS game into like a mobile-based MOBA. Like, it was kind of like, it was super arcadey. All of like the bloom effect was cranked up to 11. It was just a bunch of units that were doing things that they should never be doing in really weird ways. They took out a lot of the mechanics that people loved. They added in mechanics that people hated. their screen can get so busy so quickly that it was just kind of like colors shooting it, like flying at each other. It just overall just wasn't good. The storyline is bad. The multiplayer isn't great. The heroic units are kind of meh. And when they first were launched, there were some that were just way overpowered. I mean, it's just a weird little game. And like literally less than a month when it released, it died. Like it died in less than a month. It went from like its max concurrent players were like the day it happened, and then you could actually see the peak of people going, oh, and then just whoosh, it just dropped. Like
that's too bad.
And it's just they're still poking it with the stick to make sure the horse is still alive, but it's just really the flies inside of it that are buzzing around. So I don't really want to say.
I didn't know this was a multiplayer. Is it multiplayer only?
No, it's supposed to be a campaign-based game with multiplayer, but guess what they did? They tried to make it a multiplayer game with some campaign, and guess what? They both suck. Ha 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 ha. So. Boy. Unfortunately, that was Dawn of War 3. I'm just going to leave it at that. Just don't even bother.
Bummer.
Don't even bother. Everspace, which is probably one of the few... Is it the only roguelike we have on here? Actually, I was thinking about that.
Kingsway is a roguelike.
Technically speaking. Heat Signature could technically... Nah, actually no. But Everspace is it's a roguelike. It's a...
Like one of two, yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't too many big roguelikes this year, but Everspace is a roguelite of a different cut. Everspace is a roguelike in where you know, it's a space exploration roguelike. You know, if you have things like FTL and things like that, but this one you're one person in one ship, and you warp from sector to sector, and you do things in each sector, and you try not to die, ultimately.
You're basically trying to make sure you always have enough fuel.
Yeah,
which
so
is easier said than
always
done.
trying to move, but at the same time, you're always trying to upgrade so that you don't die, so you can keep going. And the whole point
every time you warp, you use a section of fuel. So it's like incentive to, instead of just like warp, it's like, okay, I got to explore a little bit for fuel. Oh, I found enemies. Oh shit, or something. You know, like interactions happen.
Exactly, and the whole, I guess, you know. Originally when this game came out, so as of chronologically on this list, when it first came out, it really was just a straight roguelike. It has since been expanded upon and been like added onto to actually give a story to what the hell is actually happening. So basically, you're kind of a...
Is it still in early access? Or
technically speaking, I think it actually did finally come out of it, and I think with its Encounters expansion, which you do have...
excited to play that.
Yeah, that actually gives us a little bit of story. There's actually is a story element of this game, which actually play out pretty well. It's basically the character you're playing is ultimately kind of like a clone of a guy who found his way into a bad situation, and every time you die, you're a new clone who spawns and basically.
I love that. I love when you're.
It actually has a plausible premise for why there's so many of you.
I've respawned. Literally, like it's not just your character died, restart. It's like, oh no, I've died, but now I'm back. You know,
and that's why you keep on making it a little bit further. And every time you make it a little bit further, a new story element pops in, and then that's your whole point for trying to play and play and play. But this is a game that the combat is ridiculously unforgiving and hard, and it's not like straight dogfighting.
But it's fun.
It's fun. It's definitely fun.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely incredible to look at.
This is a rare point where the combat is hard, is difficult in a fun way.
Oh, and it's not even like dogfighting, which I always hope for in a space game. It's kind of like you hope you don't die while pointing your plane at something. Like it's just like you just strafe and shoot, and you hope for the best. But the one thing I love about this game is that no matter where you go, if you think your ship is small enough to fit in, you can get there. Like you can go in between. You can go in between ship wreckage. You can go in between like beams. They're just kind of floating. I mean, there's like zero wall collision. It's great. It's actually a really cool little game.
I've had some great like space scavenger moments in Everspace where I feel like exactly what you're saying. You're inside the hollowed out husk of a shipwreck, and you're just kind of like going through, like the beams are hanging and stuff, and it's like, oh, there's a resource element, you know, fuel or something valuable, and so you collect it, and it's just I like Everspace a lot. It's a game that I do keep installed because it doesn't take up too much hard drive space,
and it's a game that you can pop in, pop out.
Yeah, I absolutely love popping in, but I find that pop in becomes pop in for 2.5, 3 hours because it's just like, oh, this is fun. And it's like, like Civ, just one more, just one more sector. I'll just go one more sector. Oh, I died. Oh, but because I died, I've got experience that I can
might as well spend it
up my ship the next time. I might as well spend it. Oh, I got a new type of gun or something. Well, I might as well check it out. It just keeps
going.
Yeah. But Everspace I like a lot. It's one of the prettiest space games.
I definitely would say that. Yeah, it's a really gorgeous game, and a really super solid roguelike if you like those types of games. So definitely check that out. Players Unknown Battleground, which is probably arguably the most impactful, important game this year by a long shot, and just in terms of player count and reception. This game has broken like all the records for player count. So, I mean, it's a huge, massive game, but yet we're two novices and we never played it, so we haven't yet to play it. We're two noobs. But
we've played a couple of games that are like it, so
kind of, sort of. But
yeah, especially the Fortnite one.
That's what you did, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I have I understand and I can comprehend the joy of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
So PlayerUnknown's Battleground, for those of you who still might not know what this game is. So PlayerUnknown's Battleground is literally, it's almost like a
the
Hunger Games of a game. It's basically you and a ton of people get dropped into a map, and you just have to survive. You need to be the last person standing. There's loot, there's houses, there's vehicles, and you just need to survive. You just try not to die.
Be the last person standing of 100.
Yes, exactly. So you parachute into this map, you find different areas, and you just try to survive. You try to gain gear, you try to kill everybody, and you try to be the last person standing. Yeah.
There's a modifier to the whole thing, though, where over the course of the game, because typically you can have that in a game and it'd be a battle royale mode, or kind of a King of the Hill.
But this map is
the trick is that. Yeah. The trick is that the map starts off massive, and as you play the game over regular intervals, there's a circle that closes around it. If you're caught outside the circle, you die. So it forces people, you can't just like camp out in a house forever. Eventually, that death circle is going to close in, and everyone's going to get closer and closer together.
And eventually, there's just the super small circle where you're like, everyone physically has to be here, just start shooting.
And you're going to see each other because it's like a 10-foot circle.
Yeah, there's no way you can't. But yeah, and it's just this over and over again, and you just really you just gain experience, and that's really all the ways that you can really just gain better. I mean, you could die first, you could survive to be the last, like the last 5 people.
Yeah,
and just purely have never seen anybody. You could literally not shoot a bullet and maybe get to the top 10, top 5. Who knows?
Right. Yeah,
it's a funny little game. You could be out like the second person, but you shot at so many people and just missed. Like it's an interesting little game.
Mm-hmm.
It's so go on.
I was gonna say I have a prediction that this game is ironically not going to appear on any Game of the Year lists for anybody. I think that it's a fascinating game, and it's an iconic game of this year. I think that's probably arguably the most iconic game of this year because of its impact.
Yep.
But nobody's going to pick it as Game of the Year because it's not an original concept, but PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is the first to just give it a...
It literally is like the game.
It's like Minecraft. The concept of Minecraft has been done a million times before Minecraft was ever made, but that was the one that just gave it a name and just said, here is building with big blocks the game on your computer.
How do you like it?
Yeah. So yeah, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds probably arguably the most influential game of the year. There have been countless, we were just talking about one earlier this episode. There have been countless spin-offs of it, and the concept has even shown up in like GTA. Like games are saying, "Oh my God, we need it." It's the biggest game concept I think since the MOBA. I think the last one was the MOBA. That's like, oh my God, we need a MOBA. Everybody, we need a MOBA. We need to make a MOBA. Can we make a MOBA?
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because I thought that last year with the success of Overwatch, everyone was going to be making Overwatch likes, and so far there's been maybe like 3.
There's been like 2 or 3, but they've all crashed and burned. So maybe people just learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, but the PUBG PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds thing is certainly a phenomenon.
Definitely. going on to another very, very, very hyped sci-fi game of the year, Prey. And this is one that did you get Prey? Do you have Prey?
I haven't actually bought it yet, but I played.
You played something.
I played an immense demo of
That's what it was.
There is a huge demo for Prey available, and mamma mia, it's good sci-fi. It is a BioShock, System Shock, that type of game. To the point where it starts you off with a wrench, so you know what you're in for. Prey is very good. It's a rare game where I'm completely fine with the jump scares because we talked about this last week. The main enemy type is something called a mimic. Now this is a first-person game, so you're quite immersed in it. It's called a mimic, and what it does is you'll see an item like maybe on a table, and there'll be like, I got 2 bottles of water here, and maybe there'll be 2 of them, and you walk in the room, and one of them's like, and you go, if you shoot at it, blah, it turns into a big
Or there's 2 bottles of water, but there's only 1 chair, and you go, wait a minute.
Yeah, they'll do some clever things. Something seems a little out of place. Whoops, I've pulled my headphones out. I got so excited. Prey's very good. It's an action-y game, but it can be a stealth-ish game. It veers towards action. I like my games like that, stealthier, like Dishonored. But I don't know, it's fun. Something about it was clicking with me really well. So Prey is something that probably, like, maybe it's Steam Christmas sale I'll pick up. I don't have the time to play it right now, but I'm eager to.
Here.
Is
that was our quota. That was the quota for the day. So
okay. I didn't know if we were.
So this is going to be where we leave off the list for now, but we're going to be doing another third off the list coming next week. So just some bigger games that are on here. We got Total War Warhammer 2, Divinity: Original Sin, The Surge: Endless Space, Lawbreakers Tacoma, all sorts of little things that are going to be coming up next week, so please stay tuned for that. But you can find all this and more at our website, which is addictedloot.com, which gets you to links about everything with this show, including our show notes that will include links to all the articles and everything else we talk about while we are here, including the free game of the week. So at addictedloot.com, you can get links to our SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play Music. You can get links to our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch if you want to join us live and talk at us live at our faces. You can find our Green Man Gaming and Humble Bundle partnership links. So we are a Green Man Gaming partner and a Humble Bundle partner, so you can find both of our content links there on the website. You can contact us through...
Buy games through them and we get money.
We get food, hooray. So you can also contact us on our website itself, or you can contact us through our email, which is addictedtoloot@gmail.com. You can subscribe and follow to our Twitter, which is @addictedtoloot. That is the number 2, which we post all of our show notifications and anything else that's going on with us as a general update. You can follow us individually. I am at ATL_Atomic Zero, because I'm not actually sure if we actually introduced ourselves this episode.
Oh, who are you? Who is this guy in my house?
I'm Brian, a.k.a. Atomic Zero, and down there is Tom, a.k.a. Tomality, which is at TOMALITY. And, of course, as always, we have been Addicted to Loot. This has been episode 63, the very first episode of our 2017 year-end review. And, as always...
keep it cool.